Fourth place, I'm going with Rotherham United. I think Rotherham actually are going to struggle this season. Now, we talked about some of their sales. Ogbene is going to be a real miss for them. And I just feel that Rotherham, they've always been near or thereabouts in flirting with relegation. I think this year it will be too tough for them, and they'll finish bottom, in my opinion. So, 24th place, Rotherham United. In 23rd, though, we're going to go with Plymouth Argyle. And maybe it's a bit harsh. We've looked at Plymouth. They've had a great season last year, but they've not been in the Championship for a long time. And I think it is a big step up, ultimately. So I'm not too confident if they're going to do amazingly. But we'll have to see, I guess. We'll have to see what goes down. With Plymouth, I think they are going to struggle to adapt. But it'll be interesting to see. Of course, we actually have Plymouth, second game of the season. After that first home game against QPR, we've got Plymouth. So it will be exciting to see if that one goes well. But, yeah, there will be an interesting team for sure. Looking at then 22nd place, I'm gone for QPR. Now, I talked about, I think Gareth Ainsworth will make this team interesting. Obviously, they brought in Begovic, but I just worry for QPR. They leaked so many goals last season. Of course, Ainsworth did what he does, kept them up. But can he do it a second time? I'm just not sure this time. And, you know, through the years, they've let go of some big players like, you know, Eberici Eze. And obviously, in the past, they had other great players. So I just worry for them. I do. I think it's going to be tight, though, in the relegation battle. Once again, it's going to be, you know, right to the wire. Ipswich in 21st, though. I think Ipswich have got enough just about to stay up. They've looked really good last season. I know you'll say, oh, if you're saying Ipswich, why are you not saying Plymouth? But I think Ipswich, they've been in this Championship, you know, before. They've certainly know how to do it. And ultimately, I think their rivalry with Norwich is going to motivate them to do well. They might, you know, at this rate, the way Norwich are playing, might even beat them in one of the two of those games. But generally, I think Ipswich are a really well-run club, and I think they'll just find a way to do well. But I would like to see a bit more from them in the transfer market. But they'll just about scrape safety, Ipswich Town, in 21st. In 20th place, we've gone with Sheffield Wednesday. Now, I do feel it's going to be a tricky one for Sheffield Wednesday to keep safe. But I think, ultimately, right, they've got a few good players like Windass. And if they do well under Xisco Munoz, I'll be happy for him. I'll be honest. I'll be happy for him. It's just, I think that they will have struggles, but maybe they can just about do what they need to do. Okay, I'm going to have to leave you there for a second. I'm hopeful that I'll come back and it will stay there. So just bear with, sorry.
So in this interlude, hello and welcome back to the Roberti Hollis channel. I know it's been a while, I've been busy with uni stuff, but I'm finally done. Summer can roll around and we've got some great content coming up very soon. I'll be reacting to my Premier League predictions in the next one. And of course, I'll be doing my Euros predictions. It's Euro 2024, baby, in Germany. It's coming home. Or could it be coming home for Vamos, Portugal? We will see. But yeah, should be a wicked summer. And this is the first video of kind of reacting to the season we've just had. The 2023-24 Championship season is done. Ipswich Town promoted. That's amazing, but I never called that. Leicester City topped the league. We also had Leeds or Southampton going up. So
Sorry, people. I apologise for that disruption. Notice anything different? Oh, yeah, baby. The Watford shirt's arrived. Love to see it. It is an absolute banger. Now, obviously, it doesn't look too good with the white t-shirt underneath, but it will look so much better now. Look at this. It's an absolute banger. Absolute banger. And guess what's on the back, my people? Oh, yeah. Number 10. Let's go. You just love to see it, don't you, really?
you do.
Number 10. It's Roberto. At your service. But yeah, sorry. I needed to just get that. But going back to what I was talking about. I was talking about 20th spot. And I think, yeah, Sheffield Wednesday will finish there. So, yeah, that's what I reckon. But, oh, this shirt, honestly, it's the best. It's so good. One of the best Watford shirts I've seen for a long time. But, yeah, let's get back to, Sheffield Wednesday 20th. I think they've got some good players there. Windass, as I said. And I'd like Xisco to do well. Of course I would. It'll be a tight one, though, as I said. Interesting relegation battle, for sure. 19th spot, though, we're going with Bristol City. Now, I think Bristol City will be a very interesting team next season because they had points where they really struggled under Nigel Pearson. Whether or not that will happen again, I don't know. But ultimately, right, I think when it comes to it, Bristol City will defensively be a bit leaky, and therefore they will be flirting with a relegation, but they'll just do enough, I think. 19th spot for Bristol City. Then 18th, we've gone with Blackburn. Now, this is a bit of a shock one, because there was points that we thought Blackburn might get the playoffs, right? But the sale of Ben Brereton Diaz is going to really hurt them, in my opinion. And, they've got a very decent team, of course. I've got a very decent manager as well, but I just think they're going to have a massive drop-off. I don't know why, I just got this feeling in my bones. Blackburn, sorry, but I'm going to put you in 18th spot. Then we move on to 17th. This is where I'm putting Hull City. Now, I think Hull will have another okay-ish season, mid-table sort of flirting with relegation a little bit, but they'll do enough, I think. They've got some decent players. They've got a decent quality of a squad. And, ultimately, they're just steady. They're not spectacular, but they'll do the job. So 18th for Blackburn, 17th for Hull. In 16th, though, we've gone with Sunderland. I think Sunderland, as I said earlier, did overachieve a little bit to get in those playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen this time around, though, especially if they can't hold or bring back Amad Diallo, because he was so big for them. Also, I think Tony Mowbray's side will just defensively struggle a bit more this season. I think teams will work them out, and maybe it will be harder for them to get the goals they need. But look, I think they'd still take survival. Obviously, they did only get promoted 2 seasons ago, so it's pretty crazy where their expectations have changed. But I think 16th, it would be an okay season, I guess, just a bit of a drop-off. 15th, Preston. I think Preston each year, they don't really excite me that much, but they do a job. They do what they needed to. And I think Preston ultimately will do just that. 15th spot for me. So then we move on. Oh, just look at this shirt again. Sorry, it's just so good. I can't get over it. It's just
Relax.
The best shirt I think I've seen in a Watford for Watford for a long time. I just got to zoom in on this because it's not getting the coverage it deserves. There it is. Oh, unbelievable, Jeff. Wow. Going back to what I was saying then. In 14th spot, we're going for Cardiff City.
Ooh,
now, I think Cardiff ultimately are an interesting side because I look at them and think, bringing in Aaron Ramsey, of course we know he's a brilliant player, but has he lost it? Has he really still got it in the tank? And defensively, they were a bit of a problem last season. So I think you'll see a few more YouTubers put Cardiff a bit lower than 14th, but I think they've got to be better, right? Haven't they? They've got to improve.
12th.
And maybe some more signings could help them just be fairly safe in mid-table. So I'll say 14th. Then 13th, Birmingham City. Now, I think Birmingham were a bit of a problem last season. Defensively, they were just a bit too suspect most of the time. But then, as I say, John Eustace did do a good job there. So I think they'll be steady and they'll actually have a bit more ambitions to go further up the table, maybe even an outside push for the playoffs. But I think 13th would be a very good season for them. Then in 12th spot, we've got Stoke. Now, I've talked about with Stoke, some of their signings looking quite tasty. Also, one of them being, of course, the Sheffield United left back. I think that's a really good signing to get in.
Ender Stevens.
So I just think Stoke will have a good season. I think their additions have been impressive. I think ultimately they've got a good manager and they'll just do a decent job. 12th spot for Stoke, banging mid-table. Then we move to 11th place, and I've gone with Swansea here. Now, Swansea, a lot of this depends on if you keep Joel Pirou, because he is so key for you.
Nope.
But I think Swansea have always been there or thereabouts, maybe pushing for playoffs. But I still feel their defence is a bit of an issue. That some YouTubers, will put Swansea a bit lower down than this. But I think they'll do a bit better this season. 11th spot for them. Then I've got 10th spot, and I'm putting Huddersfield. I think Huddersfield are going to have another push for the playoffs like they did a few seasons back.
Oh dear.
I know that it was a bit rocky for Huddersfield, and Neil Warnock obviously came in, saved them yet again. It's what he does. But ultimately, I don't think that Huddersfield are that bad. I think they've got a decent squad. Obviously, Joe Hungbo was good for them. Obviously, he's not going to be there next season, but still, it's a decent squad in my opinion. If they just add a few more exciting signings, a bit more youth, then they could really do all right and push for the top 10, maybe. 9th spot, though, I've gone for Norwich. Now, with Norwich, I feel that last season was a real underachievement. Do I think they're going to underachieve massively again? Possibly not. They might push more towards the playoffs this time around, but I still feel there's a bit too many issues going on at Norwich. Now, I've got to say, I'm impressed with their business so far. They've made some good signings, but that's not everything, right? Pookie's pretty hard to replace, ultimately, and we'll have to just see how it goes. But I think with Norwich, they're going to at least have a better season, finishing 9th. Then we've got Millwall in 8th. That's what I'm going for. I think
13th.
Millwall, it's incredible, really, that Millwall didn't finish in the playoffs last season, because they were there or thereabouts for so long. But then they kind of bottled it towards the end, to put it bluntly. Millwall, though, still a decent squad, and certainly will have ambitions of going for the playoffs again. So I think maybe they'll just fall a little bit short here, but still a good season for Millwall in 8th spot. Then 7th, we've got West Bromwich Albion. I think West Brom were also a team I was a bit surprised didn't really get in the playoffs last year, but they did have a bit of inconsistency towards the latter stage, and ended up finishing like 9th or 10th or something, I think. So yeah, not great for West Brom, but again, they're a big club. They've got some decent players, a decent foundation there. They just need to tweak a few things here and there. But I'm going to say 7th for West Brom. Then 6th is yours truly, Watford. Now, I did predict us to finish in the automatics last season.
15th.
That was when we just got relegated. So I thought, how bad can it be? It was a lot worse than I'd feared. And we've ended up finishing, I can't even remember now because it was such an irrelevant season. But I think it was 11th or 10th or 12th, one of those.
Even lower.
Basically, much, much worse than we'd expected. We thought we'd have at least been in that top 6 picture, but never really looked like getting into it. We were so shambolic for a lot of the season. So this is a big season for us to prove that we're not just going to be a mid-table team every season.
Looks like we are.
I mean, look, I'm not expecting playoffs massively because our signings have just not been that, exciting. A lot of people are just saying we're going to finish 10th, we're going to finish 14th again. But
15th.
It would be depressing. But maybe that's just where we're at now. We're just a championship mid-table club.
Yep.
But I've got to be optimistic because where's the fun in being pessimistic, right? So yeah, we're going to go for it. We're going to see if we can try and push for some sort of promotion, and I think we'll squeeze into the playoffs if we're lucky, if we're very lucky. And I think Valérien Ismail is a good manager, so hopefully he gets us, back to the kind of form that we've been playing in previous championship promotion seasons, and ultimately let's hope he gets back to the style of manager he was at Barnsley, where he did really well and got Barnsley into the playoffs. Moving on to 5th, we've got Coventry. Now, I did talk about Coventry and say, Gyökeres is a massive loss for them, but I still don't think that their whole team is a massive loss because they've still got enough good players there. And as I mentioned earlier, a really good manager in Mark Robbins. Whether or not they do change up the manager or they do change up the tactics or some of the personnel, we'll have to wait and see. But I think Coventry have just got a lot going for them. They've been another team that have gone on a real big progression in the last couple of years. They weren't really looking at playoffs for a few seasons ago. They were looking at staying up or being mid-table. But now they're really doing well, and I was really impressed with them last season. A big thing, of course, will be if they can keep Gustavo Harmer, because he's so key for them.
Nope.
And there's rumours of him moving elsewhere, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Ellis Sims is a really smart piece of business, so I think Coventry, I rate you, and I think you'll finish in the playoff spots, 5th spot.
They
then
really
it's
did.
4th, I'm going for Leeds United. Now, Leeds, of course, relegated from the Premier League. They were defensively shambolic most of the season, and it was just a matter of if, not when. When, not if, they got relegated because they were just so leaky. And even Big Sam, the guy who always keeps teams up, couldn't even save them. So, yeah, big problems. I think they do need a big season because, obviously, they're a big fan base. If they do have a bad season, it will really hurt the club. But we'll have to see. They've sold a lot of their key players, so they're going to have to rebuild. But I think they're good enough and big enough to at least get in the playoffs. So 4th place. Then 3rd is Middlesbrough. I think Middlesbrough was so unlucky to not be automatic or even, more likely finishing through the playoffs, getting that 3rd spot because they were so good all season, in my view. They just dropped off a little bit towards the end, but so did Sheffield United, and they got promoted automatically. So, yeah, really good manager, Michael Carrick, and I've talked about Middlesbrough already, but I think they're good enough to finish, again, in the playoffs. But whether or not they can do it in the playoffs this time around and get through, we'll have to wait and see. 2nd spot, though, getting that first automatic spot is Southampton. Now, Southampton, obviously, been a Premier League regular for a long time, so it was a big shock. Obviously, not many people would have said they would have gone down last season, but when you looked at how they performed, they were very, very poor defensively, and I guess it had been coming a little bit because they'd had a few 9-0s and that kind of thing, but yeah, they just relied way too much on youth last season. But they brought in a really exciting manager in Russell Martin, and I think he can do really well for them. obviously it wasn't ideal how it went for him at Swansea, but he's a Championship experienced manager, and they've made a few interesting additions. I mean, look, it's early days, right, with Southampton, and we'll have to wait and see if they really do fulfil their potential. But I think Southampton, they're certainly a club that feel too big to stay in the Championship, and Ryan Manning's a good one. Obviously from Swansea, you got the connection there, and obviously let's see if Ward-Prowse leaves, which you'd imagine he does, but they still haven't sold him yet. So he's their talisman, of course. I think they can do it though. They've got a good enough squad, even for the Championship, even if it is young. They can bounce back at the first time of asking. And then finally, who are we saying for the title? There's only one team left that it can be. It's Leicester City to win the title. Now, of course, I'd like to see Watford win the title because we've not won much silverware in our history. We've won a few things, but very, very, very little. But Leicester, of course, they've got a very good team. Of course, they've sold Maddison and Barnes and Tielemans. You'd expect all of this. But even if they have a lot of those players leave, they've still got a strong enough squad for Championship level to do well, I think. And ultimately with Leicester, I don't know much about their new manager, I'll be honest.
Maresca.
But I still feel they're good enough and well supported enough to bounce back and to win the title and go for it. So therefore, Leicester, you are my champions for the new season. So, moving quickly on, what are our top scorers for the upcoming campaign? Well, if I think that Southampton and Leicester will be up there, I've got to pick the top scorer from one of those two teams. And I'm going to say the top scorer for Leicester City, yes, Leicester will have the top scorer in their ranks. And don't worry, it's not going to be Harry Winks. And it's not going to be Jamie Vardy, who probably needs to hang his boots up. Instead, I think Leicester City's top scorer is going to be Kelechi Iheanacho. Now, you might say that's a silly shout because there's been rumours of him leaving Leicester and moving to, say, Nottingham Forest, for instance. But if he does stay, he will absolutely destroy the Championship. There's no doubt. Iheanacho has got a lot of ability.
Sammy Smollett.
If it isn't Iheanacho, though, I'm going to switch it up to Southampton because they also have some decent players. And one player I've been really intrigued by is Nathan Tella. Now, obviously, if he goes to Burnley, then this will be in the mud. But I think Southampton will try and keep Tella. And if he does play for them, I think he'll be top scorer. If, for Leicester, Iheanacho doesn't stay. So that's my top scorer prediction. Top assister of the season, though, I'm going to go for a team from Leeds United who does rack up the assists. And this player is going to be a little bit of... Yes, believe it or not, I think Leeds United's top assister and the Championship's top assister this season will be their player who's going to come back for a second spell, Helder Costa. It's a gamble, of course, I know. He could leave, but I think he'll actually do really well. I think Helder Costa will come back. He'll prove why he should have
Leif Davis.
Been playing more recently in past seasons, and Helder Costa, top assister. That really could backfire. So just for that, I'm going to have one in reserve because I know it's going to be risky if I don't. So instead, we're going to have the backup to that from Middlesbrough. And this man, to get the top assist second after the man from Leeds, is, of course, Akpom from Middlesbrough. So that's my pick. Now we move up to the most clean sheet of the season. And if Southampton are going to have a good campaign, they need to have a good goalkeeper. And to be honest, with Southampton, I looked at them last season, they defensively were so poor, and I just worried for them, keeping clean sheets. They didn't keep enough. And I think for that reason that their man in goal, Mateus Liz, is going to be the top clean sheet point scorer. Okay? Most clean sheets in the league, Mateus Liz. Now we've got ones to watch.
Did he even play?
Right? Ones to watch. I think there's a few players that should be ones to watch. One of them is Windass for Sheffield Wednesday. He's obviously a cult hero for them, and I think he will do well. Another one to watch for the Championship season in terms of players that I think you certainly should keep an eye on. Obviously these players might not be brilliant, but they're just, keep an eye on them, see how they get on, because they could do bits, is for Watford, actually. As much as I don't tend to be optimistic these days with Watford's depressing state, I think I'm going to go for it. Tom Ince. I think he's one to watch because he was so good in previous seasons for Reading and Blackpool as well, don't forget, and Stoke. He's done it everywhere, so I think he can do it here, and I'm hoping that our team will be set up for him to thrive. So one to watch, Tom Ince. Another one I've got, which is one to watch, is a player from Middlesbrough, and it's Fry. I think Fry was really good last season. I think he'll be really good again. And then finally, we're going to end it off with West Brom's very own Swift. I think he will have another good season. So he is one to watch. Right.
Well, those are our championship predictions for the 23-24 season, and that's my reaction to those predictions. So, look, let's just forget about all the predictions about top scorers, top assisters, clean sheets, because that went absolutely down the pan. Meslier got that for Leeds, Leif Davis for Ipswich, and then, of course, we know top scorer Sammy Smodic for that Blackburn side that did struggle and did have a tricky season, as I had predicted, just one place out. So, yeah, all in all, pretty happy with that. Certainly when it comes to the table prediction, because there was a lot of teams there that I got bang on the money. So, pretty happy with that. We nailed the top of the league, Leicester City. That was correct. We had Leeds in 4th, so that was unlucky. 1 away. Southampton in 2nd, 2 away from what they've ended up doing. And, of course, both of those two will fight for the playoff final. We put Middlesbrough a bit higher up than we should have done. We had Coventry 4 places above where they actually finished. We also then had Watford in 6th, which was madness. Now we look at the season we've had, 15th. And also we had a stinker with Huddersfield, one of the teams we thought would be really good last season. I don't know why, but they finished 23rd. Rotherham United, though, we smashed that. Absolutely perfect prediction. We also nailed Sheffield Wednesday in 20th. So, yeah, all in all, pretty happy with that. I think at the end of the day, that's quite a few correct teams there. So, yeah, we'll take it. Now, in the next video, as I mentioned, we will be doing reaction to our Premier League predictions from the start of the season. So, if you are watching this, firstly, happy summer, everybody. Secondly, smash a like on the video. Your support is always appreciated. And thirdly, make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads coming up in the coming weeks and months. Euros time is going to be tasty. Let's have it.